Tales from the Resting Titan. The sheep sitting in the corner. Written and read by Jevon Joseph. The Alvarez home did not simply shelter happiness, it produced it. Sunlight lingered there longer than it did anywhere else on Marigold Street, as if reluctant to leave. The walls held laughter the way old churches held echoes, quietly, reverently, as proof something secret had happened there. Daniel Alvarez believed a good father was a steady presence. He fixed what broke, he listened more than he spoke. He checked the locks twice each night, not because he feared the world, but because he trusted preparation. Marisol Alvarez believed love was something you performed daily, like prayer. Pancakes shaped like animals, nose tucked into lunchboxes, soft humming drifting down hallways long after midnight. Their sons grew in that warmth like plants turning towards light. Mateo especially. Sensitive children often do. The first night it appeared, Mateo thought the darkness had thickened, not deepened, thickened, as if something had settled into the corner of the room and was slowly absorbing the night around it. It did not resemble a man. It resembled the idea of a man remembered poorly. Too tall where it's supposed to be, too narrow at the shoulders, head slightly bent as if listening for something inside his chest. It sat where two walls met, knees drawn close, hands resting on its lap with a patience that felt older than the house itself. It was not watching him, not exactly. It was waiting for him to notice. When Mateo did, something inside him dropped. Not his stomach, something deeper. Something that knew, with a child's terrible clarity, that this was not a thing that had arrived. It was a thing that had always been there. The second night, Mateo pretended to sleep. He kept his breathing slow, eyes barely open. The sheep did not move, but the darkness around it did. It pulsed faintly, like lungs learning how to breathe. And Mateo understood, not with logic, but with instinct, that it was tasting the room, learning it, learning him. By the third night, the fear had changed. It was no longer sharp, it was slow. A dread that seeped into him the way cold water seeps into cloth. And the thing in the corner, it leaned forward slightly, not enough to be called movement, enough to be called interest. Mornings became unbearable because nothing was wrong. His mother still brushed his hair back from his forehead. His father still squeezed him at his shoulders before leaving to work. Louis still begged him to play superheroes in the yard. The house smelled like syrup and coffee and safety. Mateo tried to tell them once. He told his mother there was someone in his room at night. She knelt, smiling softly, and checked the closet, checked behind the bed, checked the hallway. There's nothing here, Carino, and she meant it. She kissed his forehead and left the door open wider than usual. The thing in the corner did not appear while she stood there. It waited because it preferred him alone. It did not come back every night after that. Sometimes it allowed him to sleep. Sometimes it gave him peace for days, just long enough for hope to grow back. Hope made fear sweeter. When it returned, it sat closer to the edge of the corner, not by distance, by presence, as if more of it had unfolded into the room. Mateo began to understand its rhythm. It was not feeding on fear. Terror burns too quickly. It was feeding on anticipation, on the hours before bedtime, on the way his chest tightened when the sun began to set, on the way he lingered in doorways, bargaining for just a few minutes more of daylight. It was farming him. He tried once more. Daniel listened seriously, brows furrowed. He checked the windows, installed a nightlight, sat on the edge of the bed until Mateo's breathing slowed. If anything is here, he said gently, I would see it. And he believed that, because good fathers believe their presence is enough. The shape did not appear that night, or the next, or the next. Mateo began to hope. It returned on the night filled with laughter, a birthday celebration, balloons drifting into the air near to the ceiling, cake crumbs still clinging to platters downstairs. Mateo entered his room smiling until he saw the corner. It was closer, not physically, intimately, as if the darkness there had thickened into something almost solid. The outline of its face had sharpened, and for the first time, he understood what it had been doing all along. It has been waiting for the happiest of days. Fear tasted better when it had joy to devour afterwards. The shape leaned forward, just enough for Mateo to see where its face should have been. There were no features, only depth, a hollow that suggested endlessness. And from that hollow came a sensation, not a sound, not a voice, but a presence, a pressure against his thoughts. Stay afraid. Time carried material forward. The shape appeared less. Then, not at all. Eventually, it became something he almost remembered. A childhood nightmare filed away and forgotten. Lewis moved into the room. Life continued. The house remained bright, whole, untouched. Lewis was 7 when he spoke at dinner. Mateo, why does the man in the corner sit like he's hungry? Mateo did not answer because he finally understood. He had never been feeding on him. He had been preparing him, teaching him what he wanted, so that he would recognize him when he returned. Somewhere in that house, when the night settles into the corners, something still sits patiently, cultivating fear in the safest place it could find, waiting for it to ripen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the sheep sitting in the corner. Now go to sleep if your mind will let you.